Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. This keyboard hits different. Its outer chassis is made from wood, or as Keyboard Lab likes to call it, timber. That's a joke, guys. It's literally called the Keyboard Lab Timber. We're gonna take a look at this very premium keyboard that has a few quirks. Wanna see how this thing actually hits different? Keep watching. I gotta preface this video by saying that Keyboard Lab didn't pay us a cent to look at this keyboard. We don't accept money from any vendors for any videos unless it's sponsored and we say so. Also, I wanted to mention that I know quite a lot about keyboards, but I'm into good off-the-shelf stuff, so I'm not really into the custom keyboard scene. And I always say this, but the reason is just time. I don't have heaps of it, so forgive me in advance and be nice about the things I'm gonna say. But the spoiler alert for this video is, I'm allowed to not be nice. I'm allowed to not like things, as you guys know. So let's start off with what you get in the box with the timber. You get the keyboard itself in a very, very nice premium felt case. You get a switch puller, a keycap puller, as well as additional keycaps. There's a little bit of documentation in there as well. And a very weird USB type A to type C cable, which you'll see. I'm not just gonna come back to later. I've got a whole thing I wanna talk about with the cable itself. The overall design and construction is really solid. It's a pretty heavy keyboard, and you'd expect it to be because it's quite literally, although partially, made from wood. Look at it, right? Wood. Smells so good though. The main part of the chassis though is metal, and that being said, again, the outer casing is wood. The rest of it's not. The keyboard itself weighs around 552 grams as measured because they don't have any specs for this keyboard. It's 101 millimeters wide, 312 millimeters long, and around 20 millimeters high. Overall, this is a pretty standard size 60% deck. The keyboard feels quite dense when you pick it up, and it smells really good. I'm just gonna keep saying that, it does smell really good. The keyboard comes in a bunch of different configurations. You can choose from cherry wood or walnut, but the version that we've got here is the cherry version. Don't confuse that with the switches because these aren't cherry switches. The included USB Type A to Type C cable can be used to either charge the timber or to use this as a wired keyboard. The USB Type C port is side aligned on the left-hand side of the deck, so if you're looking at it down from the top, it'll be right there on the left-hand side. There's no power switches or anything like that on the keyboard itself, so there's no way to actually turn it on or off if you're using any wireless mode. The timber has per key RGB lighting, and all that can be controlled on the keyboard by pressing a few key combos. Everything about this keyboard is pretty standard. It runs a pretty boring standard QMK firmware, so most everything about this keyboard can be modified with that. The keycaps on this are double shot keycaps, and the font on each key is good. Now it's got this very classic retro looking legend, and I kind of like that. The keycaps in particular feel really good to type on and have quite a bit of grip, so I don't find my hands sliding all over the place. The switches featured on their website allow you to choose from either Gateron red or browns, but for some reason, this one has blue switches. I'm not sure why they thought that was a good idea. Let's have a listen, I suppose. It's got a few other tricks up its sleeve too. The keys are fully hot swappable, which means you've got a lot of switch options. However, the timber is only compatible with 3-pin style mechanical switches. If you're wanting to use a 5-pin switch, you're out of luck. No dice, they just don't fit. You can also use Bluetooth to pair it wirelessly and it'll allow you to pair this keyboard with multiple devices. Now, I like the addition of Bluetooth on wireless keyboards. I mean, I would say that, except for the fact that the Bluetooth doesn't work on this at all. Now, nothing I did would actually allow me to enable Bluetooth. All of the RTFM in the world didn't do diddly squat. This sample either doesn't have Bluetooth or they forgot to install the battery, which should be a 1900 milliamp hour battery. But I guess we'll just never know unless I decide to pull this thing apart, which I'm not gonna do. I just don't have the effort for it. There's just, but that's not where the weird stuff ends, unfortunately. As any normal person in 2022 who has a million USB Type-C cables laying around, I thought, you know what? I'll just plug any other USB-C cable into this and I'm gonna be able to use the keyboard. Except that any old USB cable just doesn't fit in this keyboard. You have to use their USB-C cable. Look at this stupid thing. It's got a long connector on it. What's the point of using a standard like USB-C if it's not going to use the standard depth of a USB-C port? Defeats the purpose of using USB-C at all. It kind of amazes me that such a simple thing as a USB-C port depth being the primary way to connect this keyboard to your computer is an oversight.
Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll just make the connector longer.
No, that's not a solution. Especially if you're aiming this at keyboard enthusiasts who will most likely already have their own custom cables. Did I mention that the Bluetooth doesn't work either? If I didn't, the Bluetooth doesn't work. So what don't I like about the timber? Believe it or not, there's more. Now, I know I'm being super critical here, but all of these other oversights aside, the price is pretty steep for what you're actually getting. It's a bit of a deal breaker for me personally, but maybe you don't care about spending your own hard-earned money, but I would. If you're interested in the Keyboard Lab timber, they're starting at $159 USD for the bare bones version, or in this configuration like the one we've got here, except you can't get the blue clicky switches. They're going for around $179 US, or, you know, usually I'd say that this is not a bad price for a keyboard, but this keyboard needs to go right back to the drawing board because it just feels incomplete, especially for that price. Now, for the keyboard enthusiasts out there, this is not the keyboard for you, considering that there are some things that might annoy you, that annoyed me. The USB-C port depth is kind of ridiculous. The fact that they shipped us a version of the keyboard with the spec that's not available on the website, that's just weird. Most keyboard enthusiasts know what they're getting themselves into when they buy themselves a keyboard, but for everyone else, this is not the keyboard for you. Sure, the design is nice and it's wood and it's got this very premium touch. I love the legend on the keys, it's so retro, but the execution of the keyboard could have been a lot better. Now, I already know I'm gonna get an email from Keyboard Lab defending themselves, but the truth is, if you're sending us a keyboard for review, send one that works properly and one that people can actually buy. What's the point in sending a review sample for something that people can't actually buy by clicking something on the website? Right? All that aside, what do I actually like about the timber? Ooh, I guess the smell's pretty nice. Let us know in the comments what you think about the Keyboard Lab timber. You guys already know how I feel about this already. I never usually do videos like this, but it just had to be said because I know some poor sucker out there is gonna waste their money on this keyboard. Do not buy this keyboard. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Also hit the join button if you wanna get music that you hear here on the channel. If you didn't like this video, you know what to do. Tell us what you hated about it, or don't. Just hit the dislike button twice. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. I'm your really infuriated boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peak, we seek. What were they thinking? Like, you can't even buy this spec on the website and the USB-C port. Why are you like this? It does smell really good. Maybe we'll just use this as like a thing, Claire, that we leave in the house. You know, those nice smelly things? Just smells like the forest or something. Thanks for watching, I guess. Or if you didn't watch. Yeah. It does smell good.